Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Does worrying about your hotel investment or your hotel performance, I was going to say about your performance, keep you up at night? Well, for all you insomniacs, I hope that this next session will prove for you a complete cure. For the next 20 minutes, I am indeed going to put my head on Richard Solomon's intercontinental pillow. I hope I'm going to have a dreamy conversation with him to find out exactly what makes him stay up at night, or what sends him to sleep, and what he dreams of too. So please welcome my sleeping partner, Chief Executive since 2011 of the world's largest hotel company by room count, some 670,000 rooms, and still counting, with 4,600 hotels across 100 countries and 150 million guest nights per annum. That's enough to give anyone a sleepless night. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Solomons.
Pillow talk, don't wake me up. My dream is done. I'm still in love. I know your fear. Just lying here.
Good.
Please don't.
Richard, I thought what we'd do is choose a pillow first of all to sort of get comfortable with. So we've got a range of intercontinental pillows. One of them's a feather pillow, we've got a latex pillow, and we've got an anti-snoring pillow. So which one would you much prefer? There we are.
They're all excellent, Michael.
Yeah.
But, I'll take the anti-allergic.
Anti-allergic, right. Well, that should keep us from feeling itchy during the day. Thank you very much indeed. That was all by courtesy of Intercontinental.
That's
and
great.
You can get a pillow from, thank you, from Intercontinental like that at any time you stay here.
I do normally fall asleep during your presentations,
right,
Michael.
right, okay. This is
let's actually have the excuse
Good.
this time.
Right.
Thank you for that.
You recently announced a pretty good set of results. Profits up 10%. You sold 3 hotels for $830 million. You opened 237. You've got 444 more in the pipeline. And if that wasn't enough, you increased your dividend by 9%. That must make you sleep pretty well at night.
Yeah, I generally do. I mean, you know, it's this is a long-term business that we're in, and there's ups and downs around the world. But I think we've had a steady and clear strategy, and it's paying off.
So does anything keep you awake at night?
How honest am I meant to be?
Well, this is
red wine generally.
The red wine,
Michael,
right.
That keeps me awake at night.
Particular vintage? I mean, are you a French wine drinker, or a New World? Or?
New World.
New World, right. You haven't got a mark you could tell us about? We could try it tonight on the wine list here? No, right. Did the recession give you nightmares?
Do you know what? We operate, all of us, in it's a cyclical industry, right? You've been in it a little longer than I have, right. and it's cyclical. And I think when it came to the recession, you know, you have a plan. You know, we've dealt with them before. We have a plan. We have a very good team of people. And for us particularly, thank you for the statistics, you know, we operate 4,700 hotels. We only own 7 or 8. So we work very closely with our owners. And actually when something like that hits, you know, we work with them, we have a plan, and you have to deal with it. But I think we have a way through.
Good. I can see a very peaceful sleep pattern emerging here. Tell me, when you do sleep, and you sleep well, your dream vision for IHG?
Do you know, you mentioned we're one of the largest in the world, and it's not all about that. But actually, I think as we look ahead, we talk a lot about our brands. And clearly that's what effectively people are buying from us. They're buying the revenue. And I think as an industry, better understanding our consumers, having brands that truly are differentiated at the front line is really important, and we do that through our people. So we spend a lot of time on our brands, a lot of time on our people, and I think that's clearly what I want IHG to be known for.
Okay. Right, well, we found out you're sleeping easy with IHG. The Sunday Telegraph recently referred to you as the steady Eddie of the FTSE 100. Is that a fair description?
Sounds a bit boring, doesn't it, actually? But I think, you know, what we get told is we do have a very clear strategy. You know, we went asset light very early on. We're very focused on brands. We're clear what markets we're going through. And I think the fact is, if you deliver against your promises, then some people find that boring. But actually, for your colleagues, for owners, for investors, that's actually not a bad place to be. So I took that as a compliment.
Right, good. Well, we'll give you a lot more compliments during this particular conversation. I know a lot of people want to find out a little bit more about you and about how you function as a chief executive of a leading hotel company. So tell us a little about your working schedule. I mean, how much time you spend in Denham, the main office, as against travelling?
Probably on the road about 40 to 50% of the time.
Right, so plenty of air miles. You've got a British Airways black card?
I do, yes.
Right, good. Be
nice
careful,
privilege.
because when you retire like me, they take it away from you, and you have to plead with Willie Walsh to get it back again.
Not much hope, I would suspect.
So, I mean, that's quite a lot of travelling. Do you have a recipe for dealing with jet lag?
Do you know, I always tell myself that jet lag's in the mind. I'm not sure it's true, but what I do actually, instantly I get on the plane, I go on local time wherever I'm going.
Right.
So eat and sleep, and if it's a short trip, then that generally works well. Day 5 can get a bit dodgy sometimes.
Some CEOs work out as soon as they get to an overseas destination. They work off their jet lag. They either run or they play tennis or squash. Anything like that in your?
No,
nothing like that.
No.
You go to bed and dream of even greater success then.
No, I think everybody will tell you they work out. How many really do? I don't know. So I'll admit, I go straight into a bar or a restaurant normally. And
well, the reason why this is slightly emptier than it was earlier is most of them have gone off to work out, I think, somewhere. So tell me about the day at Denham. What time would you start in the morning?
I try and get in the office by about 7:30 and
right, and
get
that's
out.
About a 40-minute journey from home. Something.
Well, I commute. For those of you from England, the M25 is a part of my life, so it's anywhere from. Quickest I've done it is 17 minutes. The longest is an hour and 45. So.
Okay. And would you drive yourself to work? Or?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, do you start by reading all your emails, or is it early morning meetings with the rest of the team? Are they in that early?
It varies, actually. We do have a lot of people coming in early because one of the great beauties, actually, being based in the UK, and you'll remember this, is that you can talk to Asia in the morning and US in the evening. So it's a great place to run a 24/7 business. But I try and get the emails out early on in the day and then spend the day in meetings.
That was an appeal for international companies to relocate to the UK. The taxes are very beneficial, and we'd love to have you there, actually. And what time would you go on to as a norm? I know there isn't a norm in a CEO's life, but would you leave the office at 6, 7, 8?
I like to be out by 7.
By 7, right.
So, 12-hour day seems to me like long enough.
I mean, with all that travelling, work-life balance, how do you manage that? Are you home at the weekend for the family, or do you take the family with you as you travel?
Yeah, I do try very hard to be at home at weekends. Certainly when my kids were younger, I wasn't really around much in the week, but weekends. But now my baby sadly just turned 18, so all my kids are either out of the house or at university. So my wife has started travelling with me a little more often, which is pleasant. So we can extend the trip, do a weekend away or whatever, and not worry too much.
Changes the nature of an overseas trip when you've got your wife with you.
It does.
You have to become a little bit more restrained.
For the good. I'm not sure what you're implying there, Michael, but...
No, I hadn't thought of that.
It's actually my wedding anniversary today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Many congratulations. There we are.
Thank you very much.
How many years?
29.
29.
So I was reminded this morning.
Oh, right. You did send a card.
I left it at home.
You left it at home. She's not with you during this trip? No. Okay. So what was your last holiday? Just as
took the family to Dubai.
Right. Did you stay in Intercontinental? Or
I did, actually. We have a very nice Intercontinental and Crown Plaza together at Festival City.
There isn't a Holiday Inn Express there?
There is, actually, yeah.
Yeah. But you chose the Intercontinental.
I'm glad you asked me that.
Yeah.
Because actually, yes. And one of the things I think, as probably some of you have heard me talk about this before, but as an industry, we do fixate a bit on price points and is it mid-scale or economy or upscale. But actually the thing that we're very focused on is about need and occasion within IHG. And so I was a few weeks ago in Seattle and I spent the night at an Express at the airport, but when I'm on vacation, I'll go to an Intercontinental. I think it's important that we understand our guests are not all about price point, and they're not all about type of hotel, it's all about occasion. And understanding that better is how you build your brand.
And what about understanding competitors? Do you stay in competitor hotels?
I do, actually, yeah. I do.
What was the last competitor hotel you stayed at?
What was the last one I stayed at? I stayed at a Marriott Courtyard at Vegas Airport.
Good?
Just trying to see who's in the...
Have you got a Marriott card? I mean, did you get preferential?
I signed up for Marriott Rewards. I have a Starwood Preferred. I think it's always interesting to see. And you have to know your competition. And I love it when they get it wrong. And when they get it right, you learn something.
Right, good. I bet they'll be looking for your guest card at just now just to see what you demanded while you were there. Well, travelling, I know you recently attended, this is business travel, the Davos Economic Summit. It was the first time you were there. What was the mood of the event and the key issues and concerns that were voiced by the business leaders that you talked to?
Yeah, no, I went to Davos. It was the first time I'd ever been, actually.
You've just opened an Intercontinental.
We just opened really an outstanding Intercontinental there, which is no question the best hotel there. So I thought that was a good excuse to go. Right. And actually, it was fascinating. I did participate. They have a travel and aviation group, and I was there with a number of other chief executives. But actually, for me, it was primarily about meeting not just customers, future customers or potential customers, but a lot of government ministers and so on in the countries you operate in. So I found it very, very worthwhile. Yeah. And actually, for me, I don't think there are any particular trends coming out other than the one that we hear a lot about, and heard a bit on this stage about the responsibility of business in the community. And I think there is a skepticism that it's all just lip service, but it clearly isn't. We have to be responsible as businesses, and certainly at the forum that was a theme that was running around, which I support.
And the hotel was full?
It was more than full.
Good rate?
Very good rates.
Right.
Actually, yeah.
Excellent. Is that that's managed? Is it?
It is. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. You were also recently in China on the British Prime Minister's mission, I think, to China, but you're expanding rapidly there. You've got double-digit growth in numbers of rooms, and you're hoping for a massive Chinese influx to your other hotels worldwide. But there are signs there that the growth won't be as explosive as one first thought. In fact, your own operating profit only increased 1% year on year in China. Do you see the Chinese market still as the best bet, or is it comes with certain caution?
I think it's definitely a good bet, and I think we see economic cycles in our business, and I hesitate to call China an emerging market, but clearly it's a fast-growing market, and there'll be volatility. So we actually literally just celebrated a few weeks ago 30 years in China, and we got over 400 people in our corporate office there in Shanghai. And I think if you just look at what drives the hotel industry, which is GDP growth, infrastructure investment, urbanization, there's so much of that going on that you have to look long term. And we do. And I think there'll be some short-term hiccups, but long term, 300 million people moving into cities, the massive infrastructure, as I said, it's got to be a good place for hotels.
And what other emerging markets really excite you at the present time?
You could look around the world. There's a lot of places that where we have operations or we think about it. But interestingly, in the hotel industry, if you look, about 75% of the growth in the hotel industry through to 2020 will be in 10 markets. And so we're very concentrated on making sure we're operating those 10 markets. So from an emerging markets perspective, obviously China, Middle East, again, you wouldn't necessarily call it emerging markets, but there's a lot of change. Indonesia, India are very interesting opportunities.
Africa?
Africa, we have a presence in Africa, and it's profitable, but I think that's a longer-term burn than some of the other markets.
How much time are you spending with owners and investors, apart from coming to Berlin to meet so many of them?
I try and spend about half of my time, and even a bit more externally. Right. So I try and, as I get to the end of one year, I plan the next year ahead, and 2014 is very much about not just customers and owners, but quite a lot with government. And I think one of the biggest trends in our world right now is around digital. And I've been spending quite a lot of time already this year with some of the big players in that sphere to try and make sure I understand it properly and we can influence it appropriately.
Are you a technology geek? Do you have a lot of interesting gadgets yourself?
I wouldn't say I'm a geek. I do like new devices. I'm a bit of an Apple bore, actually. So anything new Apple.
So what have you got, the new 5 iPhone? Or?
I've got the 5S.
Or you
I've got
the new 6
iPad.
Already? Right?
No, I'm waiting for that.
Okay.
I always buy it. I never know why I do, really, because it never seems very different from the prior one.
Right.
But
I won't ask for your number, otherwise everybody will be ringing it, but good. Now, I know a lot of people would like to know more about you as a person, given that you're leading our largest international hotel company. So how did it all start? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North London,
North
not far
London,
from you.
Right. No, okay. And what did your dad do?
My dad had a small motor trade business, so I spent the summer holidays serving petrol and that sort of thing.
Okay, and your love of motor cars has persisted. I believe you enjoy road racing, or you watch it?
That's a secret, Michael.
Okay, a secret. Okay, right. Okay.
Or it was. Yeah. No, I do a little bit of racing.
Okay, right. Is that you're fully insured? We don't want to lose a CEO.
I don't ask.
Such a pursuit. Okay. And education-wise, what you were educated?
Very traditional. I went to school in London and then went to Manchester University and read economics.
Okay. And when you were young, what did you want to be? Did you have a particular?
Racing driver.
A racing driver, right? Okay. Your first job?
What was my first? Well, my first proper job was as an accountant. I trained as an accountant in London.
Right. You never perceived that you would rise to becoming an international hotel CEO?
Not at all. I did 3 years of accounting and then, whisper it quietly, I went into banking.
Right.
And actually, after a few years, I really enjoyed. I was doing M&A and investment banking, but after a few years, I felt I just really wanted to be involved in a business and try and build up a business long term, and that's sort of when I left and ended up in hotels.
Right. So with all this time spent travelling, have you got any time for hobbies?
I do a little bit of cycling, a little bit of skiing in season.
Right, okay. And sporting interests outside of the road racing? Do you support a football team?
No.
No? Okay. Right. Okay.
Next question.
Okay. Cook at home?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to ask you for the ratatouille recipe, but this gentleman makes a really good ratatouille, I'm told, actually. So your wife lets you run riot in the kitchen?
She loves it whenever I do, because she doesn't... Almost whatever I cook, she said, this is brilliant, because I haven't had to cook it.
Right. Have you perfected any recipes that Intercontinental are using? No.
No,
right, okay.
I can't take any credit for that.
Favourite book?
These are difficult questions. I like 20th century American generally, so Joseph Heller, Catch-22 maybe.
Okay, we can arrange a copy. You'll bring one over Kerry next time you're around. Okay. What newspaper do you read every day, just to keep up with what's going on?
I have it all. I do it all on the iPad now. I haven't touched a real newspaper for years. So Times, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal and The Economist.
Okay. Favourite piece of music?
All sorts.
Okay. I mean, really. Pop, rock, or classic?
Do you know what? Every now and again, my daughter provides me with a new piece of music, and it just changes over time. But I like all sorts, actually.
That's the great thing about having kids, isn't it? You have to keep up with what they're...
And the great thing about iPod, you just put it on shuffle and anything comes up.
Okay. Favourite piece of music? We've been through, but your favourite film? This is Oscar Day After. Have you seen 12 Years a Slave?
No.
No? Do you get time to go to the films?
Not very often,
no.
But that's what planes are for, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So you can't remember the last film you saw. I can't remember anything I see on the film.
Actually, the last one I went to cinema was Lincoln.
Lincoln, right.
Fantastic film.
He was quite some time ago, wasn't he? I know.
Back end last year, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, I've always wanted to ask a desert island disc type question. If you were a castaway on a desert island, what would keep you occupied?
Trying to get off it, I think.
Not building in bamboo or Holiday Inn Express, no, something like that.
No, there's a thought. Yeah.
And if you could take one luxury with you, what would that be?
iPad.
An iPad, right. And one utilitarian item?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, bicycle or something, trying to keep fit.
Right,
okay.
Well, it all follows suit, this. Now, I've got some quick fire questions for you. You're only allowed one-word answers to these questions, right? Management contracts or franchises?
Both.
Both, right. Select service or full-service hotels?
Both.
Both. Active owners or passive investors?
Active owners, actually, because it adds something. You get a real good constructive conflict, I call it.
Asset light or asset right?
Asset light is right.
Asset light is right. There we
Actually,
are.
we talk a bit more asset light, but brand heavy, and I think it's important to get that balance right.
Yeah, I wrote this before the present conflict, but China or Russia?
I think, both are going to be good markets, but clearly China's got more short-term opportunity.
Okay. London or Paris?
London.
London, okay. New York or Beijing?
Depends what you want. Again, who's in the audience? Beijing, maybe.
Beijing, right. There we are. Those of you in New York, you're now out of fashion. Leisure or business travel?
For us, business.
Right. Urban hotels or resorts? I suppose that follows suit, does it?
I think from a scale perspective, urban, yeah.
Okay. Online travel agents or direct hotel bookings?
Definitely direct hotel bookings.
Are you happy with the settlement that you got from the Office of Fair Trading?
The OFT?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you'll see from that, obviously it wasn't just us, we were involved with some of the online travel agents, that there were no findings of anything inappropriate, and they just tightened up a few of the terms, so actually I thought it was a good outcome.
Your favourite intercontinental brand?
That's like asking me which is my favourite child.
Yeah, right.
I love them all.
Okay. That's what you tell each of the brands when they come for their brand meetings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jaguar, BMW or Porsche? I know which one he drives, you see.
I'll have to say Porsche, won't I?
Okay. RevPAR or EBITDA?
EBITDA.
Right. Lower VAT or more visa waivers?
Visa waivers.
Right. Jacket and tie or dress down attire for the office?
Jacket, no tie.
Jacket, no tie, right. Well, it's nice of you to put one on for this particular event. And finally, US dollars or euros?
Dollars.
Dollars, okay, well, there we are. And just to finish up, a few more serious questions. How do you keep up with the changing world of global brands, apart from reading your latest report, which is quite fascinating, actually?
Actually, I do a lot of reading, and I get out and talk to a lot of people.
Right. And what single consumer trend do you think provides the most exciting opportunity at the present time?
I think it's personalisation. And we just published, we call it a trend report that we do, and I think brands were very much about global brands, local tailoring, but I think this personalisation and making sure that consumers feel you're actually talking to them and delivering to them is really important.
Yeah. It's well worth reading this kinship report. It's got a lot of great stuff for hoteliers to follow. I congratulate you on getting it done, actually.
No, it is.
And the biggest risk for businesses to watch out for today?
I think if you're talking about generally businesses, I think it's complacency. And I think as we talk internally, what got you here won't get you there. Business changes, and it changes fast. And although the hotel industry has been around an awful long time, it has changed a lot, and the digital aspects have changed a lot in the last few years. And I think you have to constantly be alert, and that's certainly my job as chief exec, is always to be looking out there.
And apart from IHG, which businesses really impress you a lot out there? Is there one? Apart from, obviously, Apple, which...
You know, the businesses that impress me are the ones that are very clear about what they do and do it well. So actually Apple is one.
Yeah.
You know, it's very clear what they stand for. You asked about BMW, think about the BMW as a brand. Yeah. I'm very impressed actually with HBO. You know, if you think about that, there's a creative business that consistently delivers winners, and that's always fascinating to me how they can do that.
Right. And what ambitions for IHG have you still got to fulfill?
You know, we set ourselves the ambition of being number one, and I think you said we're one of the biggest hotel companies, but we've defined what it means to be number one for guests, number one for owners, and number one for employees, and that's how we frame our ambition.
And will you still be sleeping easy at the end of 2014?
Do you know what, honestly, I think we've got great brands, got a great team around me, and yes, I think I will be.
Okay. Well, I know we're just about to get a wake-up call, but a big thank you to Richard. It was quite a sleepover, I think. You've given us quite an awakening, and you've certainly not sent anyone to sleep. So I want you to please thank Richard. Don't make too much noise. There are some people who are sleeping at the back, but other than that, I think it's been a very good...
Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you very much.